It's the year of 2000. Netflix, a company that started with begging Blockbuster to be bought, turns their entire company around with a single strategy that led them to bringing in international customers within the span of 8 years, becoming the market leaders of media streaming. And just in last year, they achieved a 31% growth. Oh no, wait, sorry. I actually meant 31% loss in market share. So what happened? Is Netflix losing the video streaming race? Let's find out in today's video on Let's rewind time back to 1997. Netflix was started by Hastings and Randolph, two entrepreneurs from Silicon Valley. They both admired Amazon's e-commerce model and wanted to replicate it. After Hastings was fined $40 from Blockbuster just for a late fee, Randolph and Hastings mailed each other a DVD to test the viability of a DVD e-commerce rental company, and it worked, which eventually gave birth to Netflix. By 2000, Netflix scrapped the classic rental model that Blockbuster championed and offered a unique subscription model where for a flat fee you could order unlimited rentals at no due dates, late shipping, or handling fees. Despite receiving over 300,000 subscribers, Netflix relied solely on the US Postal Service, and that ate up their revenues to a $57 million loss. To turn this around, Netflix tried selling itself to Blockbuster for $50 million, but it was turned down. But in the silver lining, DVD players suddenly became affordable. This allowed Netflix's subscribers to jump up to 600,000, giving them the confidence to take the company public on the Nasdaq. In 2008, YouTube streaming saw a huge success, and inspired by YouTube streaming success, Netflix envisions their members instantly watching series and films on the internet, and this idea was eventually implemented in 2008, the year Netflix achieved its highest market share of 96%. Despite the huge market share, Netflix's dominance wouldn't last forever. Their genius, unique offering of subscriptions was an easily replicable idea to other competitors at the time, and by 2013, the entrance of new competitors dropped Netflix's market share down to 60%. But Netflix wasn't surprised at this result. They knew their competitive advantage would never last, so to reduce their reliance on external production, Netflix started producing its own original content, with the first being House of Cards in 2013. Over the next few years, Netflix saw astronomical global growth, reaching 190 countries and 137 million subscribers. Despite this success, little by little, Netflix's market share was eventually being chipped away by competitors. And eventually, this dropped Netflix's market share by 31% between 2020 and 2021. So why did this happen? Let's first explain what licensing is. Imagine Netflix wanted the rights to stream Avengers: Infinity War on their platform. They pay Marvel Studios $100 million in exchange for that right, and then us Netflix subscribers can watch Tony Stark die again and again. Now there are two different types of licensing, exclusive licensing and non-exclusive. The difference is pretty simple. Exclusive means Netflix and only Netflix holds the license, so no other competitor can stream Avengers. Whereas non-exclusive means any studio can purchase a license off Marvel. I want to illustrate how powerful exclusive licenses are. Imagine a KFC store who gets 100,000 customers a year. The sudden entrance of a McDonald's might take some customers away, but it's not like I can't have KFC just because a McDonald's is there. This is pretty similar to non-exclusive licensing. Exclusive licensing is when the presence of a McDonald's means no one on that street is allowed to eat any food but McDonald's, and McDonald's effectively takes away all of KFC's customers. And through using exclusive licensing, Netflix secured over 11,000 unique TV shows and movies, which allowed them to dominate almost 96% of the market at one point. But production studios realized that it was giving Netflix far too much value, and there were other emerging competitors at the time. So to level their bargaining power, studios would increase the cost of their licenses, or they would give other streaming platforms like Amazon Prime or Hulu the licenses instead. And naturally, over the next few years, the unique number of media choices on Netflix significantly plummeted. But Netflix saw this coming and preemptively produced its own original in 2013. But the problem was, licensed content results for 63% of viewing hours on Netflix. And to make matters worse, 4 of the most successful licensed shows on Netflix were eventually left to competitors by 2020. So even Netflix couldn't keep its rents forever. But does that mean it'll permanently lose its Iron Throne? Did losing licensed media mean the doom for Netflix, or is there more to their assets than meets the eye? Netflix, just like any other company, derives its profits from revenue and costs. As most people know, Netflix's revenues comes from new subscriptions, but you need to remember that it's a combination of new and current subscribers, which means that a large portion of Netflix's revenue is the result of how sticky Netflix can make its ecosystem. And what exactly does this mean? Let's see how Apple makes a sticky situation. Imagine you have an iPhone. You're looking for a new laptop and you heard that MacBooks sync pretty well with iPhones, so that's what you go with. You're now looking for a smartwatch, and Apple Watches do let you view your messages on it, so that's what you go with. Maybe you want a tablet to take notes with during class. You want one that can sync to your iCloud, so you just go with the iPad. And at this point you think, fuck it, if I get a TV subscription, may as well just get an Apple one too, right? You see, all of these devices and applications creates this kind of invisible wall. The ecosystem inside this wall works so well from the inside because it's so seamless, but when you try to leave, such as bringing data outside or using an Android, it's so damn difficult to do. And that's when an ecosystem is sticky. So, how can Netflix accomplish this? The answer is through their algorithm. So, how does it work? Let's pretend like we're using Netflix for a moment. In a typical Netflix session, you might type what movie you want, browse through the website, watch a trailer of something that catches your eye, decide to watch the movie. Maybe you might pause the movie and leave it for later, or you could just finish the entire series and start the next season. Maybe you don't really like it, so you just stop and finish, or maybe you might even cancel your membership. Now, in a simple Netflix session, you have just supplied to Netflix your geolocation, your search history, your browsing behavior, date and time you watched it, what device you used, exactly what time you paused, how long you were watching, whether or not the show was interesting to you, and the time it took for you to cancel. All of these data points go into their algorithm, which allows Netflix to achieve 3 objectives. The first being tailoring your recommendations. You might be familiar with how Netflix gives you movies based on previous genres watched, but they can even show you thumbnails only of the actors it knows that you like when you scroll through their feed. The second is knowing whether or not to renew a license or not. Unlike other studios that mainly use ratings and viewership to decide this, Netflix has mountains of additional data to make a more educated and scientific guess. And finally, what Netflix originals to produce. If you thought that House of Cards was made because it was a cool idea at the time, you'd be mistaken. Netflix has leveraged billions of data points to know exactly what genre, what actors, and what number of episodes to produce, and how that would appeal to the most subscribers. It wasn't a work of art, it was an extremely calculated decision. And to show the fruits of their hard work, during COVID, competitors had significantly high rates of losing existing subscribers, but Netflix was one company that held onto their subscribers the best. So to top it off, in the streaming industry, newly created shows are only profitable about 35% of the time. Guess how profitable Netflix is? 70% of the time. Netflix has had a roller coaster of growth, starting from the bottom as David and battling blockbuster The Goliath. For the last 10 years, Netflix has stayed at the forefront of the stream wars, and only now has its competitors slowly caught up. While a 31% loss in market share over a year makes for great headlines, we forget the amazing technology and the brilliant minds that drive this company. Any king will eventually face competition, and Netflix is starting to feel the heat, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they will lose the war. Only time will tell. This concludes the end of the video. If you've stayed this far, do drop a like if you've liked it, and subscribe if you loved it. I'll bring some more thought-provoking topics in the future, so stay tuned. See ya!